So let's bring out our first guest because I'm very excited to have him here. Dr. ManuPlatt, ladies and gentlemen, from the Georgia Institute of Technology. So, Manu, I know that you did your research. You started out here local, right? You started out right here in Morehouse College. Let's have a shout out. Mascot at Morehouse?
The Tigers, the Maroon Tigers.
The Maroon Tigers, the Morehouse Tigers.
I think they're state.
I've not seen a Maroon Tiger in the wild. So, and then you went on to Georgia Tech.
I did.
Emory, and MIT. You've been all of the great places in the world.
Yes, sir.
And so tell us a little bit about your work. I know you've done some tissue engineering. I know you've done some work in diseases and systems biology. You're all over the map.
I am, and I love to be all over the globe because science can take you all those places, right?
That's right.
So no, what I really love thinking about is how you can use, I think about biomedical engineering as using health and physics, or math and physics, math is your world, to solve health-related problems. So that's the part that we think about. And what keeps me up late at night is trying to think about how we can cure some of these diseases. And so that's what drives me. And a lot of the diseases we study are really health disparities. So sickle cell disease is one of them. HIV is a different one, and cancer. But what I think is important is I've learned through the HIV work is that things that are health disparities in the U.S. are like global health problems. So we can solve them in the U.S., then we'll have like global impact, and that's an amazing thing.
That's excellent. Yeah. So when we talk about health disparities, maybe you can help our audience parse that out. What does that mean to you?
So those are diseases that like disproportionately affect one community over another, right? A lot of people separate it by ethnic minorities, but it's also financial. People with low socioeconomic status, that they will die of something more so than the general population.
So it's not just mental illness and talk show hosts. That's what I was looking for.
Those are different.
Okay, I guess I mental illness and tenure Georgia Tech professor.
So what kind of surprising things have you found in your work? Is there anything that's really kind of come up against you? Because this happens in science and research a lot, where you usually make a hypothesis and you sort of know what the answer is, but then sometimes the data surprises you.
So, yes. So always, right?
Always the data.
Always. And then when you become a professor, you learn that it's surprising. Then you have to kind of manage your students' psychology through that.
Yeah. Right.
So what's been interesting about sickle cell, right? I do a lot of work with community-based organizations, Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. And it's funny, as a scientist, you're focused on the problem and what you think is going to be what's going to fix it, right?
Right.
But then you go inside the community-based organization to kind of change your mind about what you were thinking. So let me give you an example. So, for example, we always talk about in the science world about, oh, we need to make sure people don't pass the sickle trait on to their offspring so they can not have children with sickle cell. But when you work in the community, people who have sickle cell disease, they don't look at it as the same problem that someone who doesn't have it might think about.
Oh,
right?
Really? Okay.
And so for them, it's their normal. And when you talk to them about we want this never happen again, you kind of got to back up a little bit.
Right.
I'm so sorry I didn't even say that, right?
Okay.
And so that's where it takes us nerds who are less socially available. And then when we go out into the social world, we have to be.
Pete is right here on the couch.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just eating straight acid at the cool man.
You make a very good point. So, for example, one of the big projects that Georgia Tech is working on now is service learning. Right? So this is a huge project at Georgia Tech. I had a chance to observe this before, and what Ellen Zagora and people at Georgia Tech who do things like computing for good. They send their students out, and she realizes the skill they're missing the most is exactly what you just said, the ability to listen. We come out, the experts from Georgia Tech, they know what they're doing, here's how we're going to fix the problem, and people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let us give you our perspective.
Right.
And that's where they learn. How do we get our students to listen more? That would be.
Well, I think what you said is really important. I think if we get our students to start engaging with the community more, number one, there's a different perspective on how to solve the problem, right?
Right.
So, there's this whole new push about the most creative teams have the most diverse answers to actually solve problems.
Right.
So when I go and talk to the community and bring my students with me, they get to see the actuality of what's happening. And then what we think inside of our own cold world, inside of the lab, is not actually the best solution for the individuals that we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. But where it gets even crazier is, this is, you all probably did this back in school, we can admit this publicly. I used to laugh at my friends that were English majors or history majors that would say they were busy.
what?
We can all read while we're in the back.
Okay.
But what I've learned,
Right now, they're busy cutting their tomatoes out of their purse.
But what I learned, when I started to be a real scientist, like we can do the best nerd discoveries in our lab, but if you want to get into the people, you've got to deal with the cultural differences,
Right.
the community, the conversation,
Right.
because we can have the best ideas, but if they don't want to take it out because we can't communicate it, it means nothing. And so that's where we have to make friends with the other side of campus.
So unfortunately, most of us don't learn this until we're faculty at Georgia Tech, and the National Science Foundation requires us to write this little section called Broader Impact, where you get out there and explain to normal people why this is important and what it is we're doing. So we're doing Broader Impact.
We are. This is Rob.
Excellent. Wow. All right, but I couldn't help but notice you have your own wristband for your lab.
Oh, wow.
The
Platt Lab.
Flat Lab, check us out, flatlab.com.
Platt Lab.
Should I be getting a thing for my lab?
Well, so actually one of my students actually had these made for us, and then I really took it on, and they actually glow in the dark, or they work great in the club with the black light.
Your students have no time to go to the club, right? They're working in the lab.
Well, I mean, I encourage a Friday night.
Not at Platt Lab.
Friday. Because I do feel like that they clear their mind from the clutter of the regular way, they come back with fresh perspectives on Saturday.
I want to
and
be in
Sunday.
Platt Lab.
But Saturday and Sunday, you should be in Flat Lab. That's very clear.
My daughter has you for physiology.
Yes.
Right, that's why she likes this class so much.
Oh, violation right here on stage.
No, it's fun talking to the undergrads because, so again, I use my lecture class and we talk about sickle cell disease because one of these things is one of the, the first genetic disease we've identified, right? And the first patient was identified in, 106 years ago, right, 1910. And not the first person to ever have it, but the one who was first kind of identified and started following it. But the thing about it is after 106 years of studying this disease, we know the genetic cause, we know the molecular cause, we know all these things about it. One drug on the market, right?
That's it?
One drug, that's it.
Really?
And it's the most common genetic disease in the United
And it
States.
seems like it's very well understood, right?
Very well, it is. So here's the thing, it's very well understood, but then it's not. The biggest problem is that these cells have to give up oxygen, and that's when they sickle. And so it's funny when I discuss it with my class, where they're like, well, how come you can't just stop the cells from giving up oxygen? It's like, thank you.
We get a little laugh from the biologists.
They don't give up the oxygen.
Oh, there's that.
So it's sometimes that's a problem. And so it's a complicated issue that really affects everything, every tissue, every organ system in your body. And so, and really trying to find it, I think a lot of people think it's cured, but it's not. And then we do need more people to come around and start studying it. So I'm glad to be here to actually spread some information around.
Excellent.
And I think you were saying before the program, it's not just a matter of the biochemistry.
Right.
But also the physical environment of these cells in the...
Exactly. That's why they let me study the biomedical engineering, right? So we actually care how the biomechanics, because the red cells get really stiff, and that's the biggest problem. They get really stiff in black tissue. But when you talk about fluid dynamics, they actually change the way the blood flows, and that, the craziest thing, mechanical forces influence gene and protein expression. And so that's where biomedical engineering really adds value to look at not only the biochemistry, but how do the mechanics fit into causing these problems.
Shout out to Navier and Stokes.
Oh, we go. I thought Nadia just hyphenated his name.
I know, I'm not sure.
Okay.
They were all drinking scotch. So this is really great. We have another guest, so we're going to go ahead and bring her out. Also, actually, at Georgia Tech faculty. And but let's have a hand for Dr. Platt and Platt Lab.